here we are with Team Lotus, and we've been given the very special opportunity to speak to Clive Chapman, the son of the legendary Colin Chapman, and he's going to take us through the Lotus 49 and the evolution that is seen over the years. Thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to us today.
That's a pleasure.
We're going to go through each of the legendary 49 Lotuses and just talk a little bit about the evolution and how they've changed. Obviously the first one we don't actually have today.
So R1 became, it was Graham Hill's car at Zandvoort in '67, and then it was updated and renumbered as R9, and it became Jochen Rindt's car, and he had a big shunt at the Spanish Grand Prix in '69, and the car was folded up like a banana and written off. So we got a little cut out here
today,
just to represent it.
Excellent.
So R2 is the first car we have in reality, and this is the Jim Clark car from Zandvoort '67. Arguably one of the most famous Formula 1 cars of all time, and we specialise in restoring cars to exactly how they were in period. So this is very faithful. We have all the original design drawings back at base, so we've restored the car to exactly as it was in '67. So this is chassis R3, and this belongs to the National Motor Museum at Bewley. This was Graham Hill's second car for the '67 season, and obviously sister car to R2. Another really good example of the early specification of the Type 49. Nice and original, but it doesn't actually get to be raced. This is just in a museum. It does run occasionally.
Yeah.
Goodwood goes up the hill and what have you.
I guess what's most notable about these cars is the fact there's no front or rear wings at this stage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was it in the pipeline at this stage to get to that kind
No,
of
really the
car?
key consideration with Formula 1 cars in these days was minimising drag. That was the aerodynamic consideration. The profile of the monocoque, the chassis, was basically no larger than the profile of the engine. And this was the first time that the engine and car had been designed together. But as speeds were increasing, they were starting to get positive lift over the upper surface of the car, and that was affecting the grip of the tyres as well.
Right.
That's about the time that designers were starting to say, how are we going to keep these cars on the ground? And that's when aerodynamics started to be more of a consideration. R4 was a works car for just one race, and Jim Clark, it was his last Grand Prix win at South Africa in the Grand Prix in 1968. It was then sold by the team to Rob Walker, who ran a private team, and unfortunately at the British Grand Prix it had an incident in practice, and it went back to the workshop to be repaired. It was being welded, and there was a garage fire, and the car was completely destroyed. So R5 is obviously a different colour, and overnight the national colours, the green, the British Racing green, was replaced with effectively Ferrari red, because that was the colours of the sponsor. This car is unique in as much as Graham Hill won the Monaco Grand Prix in 1968 in this actual car, and then he won it again in 1969 in the same car. It's the only car to have ever won 2 Monaco Grand Prix. And I think it's like to be the only one that ever does, because I can't imagine the modern one doing it. So this has a great history. The other thing to note is it's a black and silver nose badge on the front of the car. After Jim Clark's tragic death at Hockenheim in 1968, the Team Lotus changed from green and yellow nose badges to black and silver in his memory. And the F1 cars from that time on always ran with black and silver nose badges. In terms of regulation, the engine was 3 litre, and there was a maximum overall width. There was a weight limit. There wasn't a lot else. So now we come to R6, and obviously you can see the wings on the car now. It's starting to generate a little bit of downforce. Really the front wings are trim tabs as much as anything, just for a little bit of balance. There's a gurney flap on the front lip, just to try and reduce that lift that's being created on the upper nose surface. The other thing to note about the 49, the early cars didn't have seat belts, and was really the advent of the 49 and the increased performance the drivers found under acceleration and braking. They were moving around in the cockpit too much, so they wanted to be strapped in. Having done that, they wanted to have a much more significant rollover bar in case the car did invert. And of course there's the rear wing at the back, producing some downforce, which gives you much better grip around the corners. So this is chassis R7, so this is an example of a privateer 49 which was raced by the Rob Walker racing team with Joe Siffert driving, and it's the last private entry to win a Grand Prix in history of Formula 1. Wow. So that's quite a significant monument. Obviously painted in their own colours, the Scottish racing colours of the Walker family. And Joe Siffert was a hugely popular driver and a great hero to the race fans. And for a private team to win a Grand Prix, you know, everybody loves that. So this car belongs to Adrian Newey, who some of your viewers might have heard of.
Yep.
And he acquired the car a couple of years ago. And we were really pleased to hear that Adrian had purchased the 49 because it's a sign of his appreciation, if you like, of the Team Lotus innovation and history. And then he was kind enough to ask us to help him restore the car, which we were really pleased to do. And then Adrian himself actually got involved with race prepping the car, and he raced it at Monaco last year at the Australian Grand Prix. Did extremely well. Importantly, all of these cars, it's the original Monaco.
Yeah.
And for 7 1960s F1 cars to still be based on their original Monaco is outstanding.
So last but not least, the R12.
Yeah, this is R12. There's a picture of a young driver there, sitting in the cockpit with his dad, age 7. So this is a special car for me. It was actually built as an exhibition car for Ford, and it went to the racing car show in '69 when that photograph was taken. It's a completely original car, constructed by Team Lotus, but it wasn't actually running in period. And recently, 4 or 5 years ago, a running engine was fitted and a fully functioning gearbox. So it's done very limited running. So the race history, it doesn't have any race history as such, but in terms of representing what the 49 was, it's all original, and that makes it special in its own right. And it's really great to have it here to complete the lineup.
So that has been the evolution of the Lotus 49, celebrating its 50th anniversary since it was first created, and it was really fascinating to see one of the most iconic Formula 1 cars just change, and so many different changes across those different builds, and I hope you've enjoyed watching.